Next up is Linda. Linda is a refrigeration engineer with Janie.
Good
morning.
Morning.
So most of us know you. You've been in the industry quite a long time, haven't you? But if you could just share a little bit of information about your background for us.
Yep, sure. Well, I had to actually count the number of years that I've been in the industry when I was asked to do these little ditties for the IWAR, and it actually totaled up to 39 years, which was quite alarming. I didn't think I had got to that age, but anyway, I don't act it. But
you've been knocking around as long as I am old.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, that makes me really funny. But yeah, I mean, all those years ago in the 70s, really, at school, I loved maths and physics and sciences, but there definitely was no route for young girls. In fact, my careers officer spent 20 minutes with me when I was actually doing my hires. So even past the stage of selecting your O-levels, 20 minutes, and it was a case of this is the route you should go down. But there was no recognition about the fact of being really good at maths and sciences. I was also quite good at languages. I liked languages, apart from English. Didn't I like English, but I liked French and German. I took an extra O-level just to fill in the time in business studies in my final year at school. So that was the route they took me down. And I ended up at college doing business studies and languages. But fate has a way of turning things round about. So when I left school, I went to college, a couple of years, business studies, languages, and then I got married young and worked for a couple of years in various, just a couple of jobs that really made me money. Didn't care where it was. I was offered jobs in the bank, etc. But a chartered accountant paid £2 a week more or something. So to pay the rent, I just took it. And then I had my first wee boy a couple of years later, and it ended up that I took a job when he was 10 months. I thought I'm going to go back to the workplace because that's really where I fit in, I think, in life, not just as a mum. So I actually got a job with a refrigerated display case manufacturer in Glasgow, a well-known one, employed 600 men at one point, Husman, Craig Nicol. And I went in as an export coordinator, believe it or not, using my languages and my business studies. It could have remained that way, but I obviously was speaking to the design department in the actual refrigeration plant, going through the factory all the time, speaking to people, and just wanted to know about refrigeration. So people would tell me. It was good because I was interested. I would get told answers. So that sort of instigated my thirst towards the mathematics and science, because I realised that that's what refrigeration was, applied maths, where I didn't do applied maths, basically. So from there, I was with Husband Craig Nicol for 8 years, and I moved from the export department into sort of a technical sales role, but there wasn't much technical knowledge that I needed to put in. But so I enjoyed that for the last few years, and then I moved on to Star Refrigeration, where I really embarked on learning about refrigeration. So that's how it came about to get into the industry, and then it just went from there. But yeah, coming from a small town in the west coast of Scotland, where you had to go to Glasgow to be at university to study mathematics, to study engineering, which I think, had I had my time, like Lisa, gone back, I would probably have thought, no, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go to university. I'm going to do engineering and be that only girl in the class. But I wasn't ready for it when I was young. So So this is great, this initiative to get more women into the industry. And I've seen it over the years, just slowly gathering pace, and it is going to come to some form of parity in the future, I'm sure, because they're clever girls.
No, I think you're right. I've been in the industry 21 years now, and there's definitely more women about than there were when I started. So it is improving, but probably not quite at the rate that we thought it would. So you are a fellow at the Institute of Refrigeration, and as a fellow, you're an ambassador to our industry.
Yeah.
And I'm sure many people also agree, a role model to women like myself. We're following in your footsteps. How did you get involved with the IOR? And what are the benefits of being a member of the Institute?
Well, I joined the Institute of Refrigeration Scottish branch in 1998, just after I had to go back a wee step. When I was in Star and I was taking on the technical sales role and learning from my colleagues and my peers, and just self-teaching, really, being so interested in going through the factory and watching the plants getting built. And I actually started to go out and visit clients and do the technical sales, but quite often the client would be looking for the engineer coming along through the door behind me. So I felt I sort of felt I needed the credibility. I was young. I was in my late 20s, early 30s. I was young. I didn't have the confidence. I was questioning my ability. Can I do this? Am I clever enough? Will the men in the industry, men in the fridge industry, and the customers, will they actually listen to me? So there was all these questions, and I had to develop a bit of a confidence in myself, really. So what I did was I decided that I was going to do a degree, an engineering degree, maybe 20 years too late. Well, not quite 20 years after school, but a few years after school, I thought, I'm going to do this. And at that point in time, I had two young sons, and I enrolled in a building services engineering degree, part-time, 4 years, mature entry in Caledonian University in Glasgow. And of course, I lived in Glasgow by that time anyway, and was working. So it was really difficult. It was exhausting, but I would absolutely do it again tomorrow. 4 whole years, and then after that, I had the letters after my name, so I felt as if I had arrived. It really shouldn't have been that way, but it was a very male-orientated business, albeit every male that I ever encountered was very supportive and happy to teach me, I think because they knew how willing I was to learn, or maybe they just felt sorry for me, but yeah, it was great. I loved it. I loved being at the university. I was the only female. We had some composite classes, we had some individual classes at university, and my class was full of mature students who'd come from other disciplines to learn building services engineering. And then we were in composite classes with young people who were embarking on their degree, basically straight from school. So, and every one of them was male, and they really were great to be with. I like working with men, I do. I like women as well, but the males that I've encountered in my career, I would say majority of them have been brilliant, supportive. So I then, as I say, after I'd done my degree, I joined the IOR, and then 2 or 3 years later, I was invited by one of my colleagues to come onto the committee. So I went on to committee probably 2000, 2001. And initially I would go into these meetings as the only female, maybe a committee of it's anything between 10, 12. And I was very quiet. I'm sure I was very quiet in the first year or two, no saying very much, just listening. But it was amazing, the confidence, even just being a member of the committee gave me. I grew and actually decided that, well, I can have an input to the Institute of Refrigeration Scottish branch. And then some of the older ones sort of resigned from the committee as they retired. And so you had to kind of step up to the mark. You couldn't still just sit there and say nothing. So, but it actually ended up in me becoming, I did the treasurer's role. And then the next thing I knew, I was vice chair of the Institute of Refrigeration Scottish branch. And the next thing I knew, I was the chairperson. I had to change the title of the chairman of the Institute of Refrigeration Scottish branch because I wasn't a chairman, I was a chairperson. So, and I did that, and that in itself made me grow as well as a person, as a refrigeration person. And it's great. I'm still secretary of the Institute of Refrigeration Scottish branch, and have been for a few years, and seeing all the younger people, and in fact 2 lady members joined over the last few years, and they've done a brilliant job. They've been inspirational in the committee, really, because the men and the women, we got on great. But prior to that, I'd only ever experienced a male committee. And so you get, women have different ideas, better ideas sometimes. And it's been great to have 2 women on the committee as well.
Yeah, I think it is incredible, and it just goes to show that you really are a trailblazer. You were, one of the very first female members, and especially want to get involved in a committee. And now to have 3 female members, you ladies in Scotland have been putting the rest of us to shame. No, I can't hold back on this question any longer because I'm really excited about it. We're obviously lucky to have you today because there are some INWED celebrations going on. And I hope you don't mind me asking, and also sort of revealing this piece of information, that you've been named in the WES Top 50 engineers for 2021. You are an engineering hero. So can you tell us a little bit about what this award means to you? It's a very prestigious award, I suppose.
Yeah.
And to be one of only 50 women named today as this year's engineering hero.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I didn't know how to answer this question. I don't know how to answer this question because I felt all my life I've probably just been doing my job, but again, just like when I had to add up the number of years I've been in refrigeration, I actually had to focus on the things that I have done. And when you actually list the things, just as I've mentioned there, I didn't really realise that I was a trailblazer, that I thought I was just doing my job. But yeah, it has been pretty spectacular, and I don't know what's got me to this position, but I'm really honoured to be recognised as a trailblazer and a WES Top 50. It's brilliant. Amazing.
I know I can speak for many of the others and just say that you really are a role model and an ambassador. Like I say, you're also a fellow of the Institute of Refrigeration, and that's not a title that's rewarded to anybody. So it's, it just is testament to how much of an ambassador you are, and for women like myself to have you step some of those paths before us and make it a little bit easier for us to access these roles within the industry. Just want to say thank you for all the incredible work, and maybe just be a little bit less humble about your achievements. Today we're celebrating women like you.
Yeah, thanks very much, Lisa. That's lovely to see. Really nice. A lot.
It has been a pleasure to work with you and to call you a colleague and peer. You're someone that I'm incredibly proud to work with. So I've just got one final question for you, and that is, who is your engineering hero and why?
Oh, great. That's a good one. Well, I would say that everybody that's helped me along the way and supported me, male and female, are all my heroes. But and also the university lecturers, I thought, well, they were all absolutely brilliant with me. The fact that I was a female within every class, you know, at that time. I'm sure it's different now. If I walked into a university lecture hall, it would be totally different. 14.5% more women within that hall there would be. But if I had to name one, I would actually have to say it would be Andy Pearson, who's past chairman of the IOR and the Institute of International Institute of Refrigeration. And I worked with Andy when I first joined STAR in the early 90s. So you're talking 30 years ago. And he was in the same room as me, technical sales. And Andy was already very clever, very absolute genius at refrigeration already. And so we worked together for many years, and he saw me through every ambition that I had to move on. First saying, Andy, I'm going to do my City and Guilds, and then I'm going to do the degree, talked it over with him. And then I went on after my degree to achieve it, to get Chartered Engineer accreditation through the Institute of Engineering. And that was sort of for 5 or 6 years in the making, that was. But go back to the very beginning, and I can remember Andy sitting patiently teaching me about the refrigeration equations, the pressure enthalpy diagram, the different components of a compressor, the different types of compressor, VI, variable VI condensers, motors, lots of things that I've already forgotten. But he was an inspiration, and he is my hero, really. Yeah.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. And thank you again for your time, because like I say, I know you're going to be busy today. And I'm sure that everybody will join me in congratulating you again. And we really hope that you enjoy your celebrations shortly.
Excellent, thank you. I need to get my out the fridge.